I had a really bad public interaction with a little person today, and I just feel like I need to get on here and tell you guys before they do because I'm not getting canceled for this shit. I was at the airport, walking to the terminals. It's a long ass walk to the terminals, okay? I see a little person. They look like they're in a hurry. They look like they're trying to walk as fast as they possibly can, and they're struggling, falling behind the rest of the people. And I looked at them and I thought, damn, if I were them, I would really want to ride on someone's suitcase. Fuck it. I want to ride on people's suitcases, and I'm not even a little person. I'm just fucking lazy. Every time I see someone with a big suitcase, I think, I wish I could ask them if I could just sit on it. Like, I don't know. Sorry if that's weird. Like, I just think it sounds fun, okay? And like I said, I'm lazy, and like whatever. I'm not saying they're lazy. I'm just saying like. So I was like, what the hell? And I basically went up to them and I was like, hey, do you want to ride on my suitcase? I'll take you to your terminal. They got so offended and so mad at me. I was not expecting that reaction. Like, I thought maybe we could make a core memory together. Maybe we could have fun. Maybe we could be friends. Like, sorry you are allergic to fun. Like, I don't know what to say. So I just don't want anybody to say, like, I was making fun of a little person or, like, patronizing a little, because, like, dead ass, I would have ran them to their terminal on my suitcase and we would have been laughing and having a great time. Like, that's how it went in my head before I asked them. In my head, I was picturing it to be, like, a really fun thing. Anyways, like I said, nothing against little people. I would do anything for a stranger. And I don't even think like, oh, they might take offense to this because I don't have bad intentions with people, so I just automatically assume like everything's going to be chill. And I was wrong. So I don't know, if you're a little person and you're watching this, like, is that really that bad? Were they overreacting? Am I a horrible person for asking that? Like, but also, if you're a little person and you ever see me at the airport, don't hesitate to ask to ride my suitcase. Why is that so weird? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Oh no, people are pointing or laughing or staring. Fuck them. Like, literally, fuck them. They're all dumbasses. They're all losers. They don't get to ride someone's suitcase. Like, I would literally cuss out anyone for you. Like, if I saw an ugly ass man laughing or recording or staring, I'd be like, what the fuck are you looking at with your receding hairline? Your dick probably doesn't work anymore, and it's probably why your wife fucks her trainer. Turn around. Like, I would have had your back, and you ruined something that could have been great. Anyways,
I don't think I can properly explain to you guys how funny that video is. Like, if you close your eyes and listen to it, it's like watching an episode of The Office or Parks and Recreation. And I feel like it perfectly sums up what it's like to have dwarfism and step outside in a public space. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Aubrey Smalls, and today we're going to be discussing this TikTok that went viral a couple months ago, and it's having a second wind as of today, January 6th, and I keep getting tagged in it. It has 1.5 million likes. I think it's at like 9 million views. And as you can tell, there's lots of things to discuss. Again, this is just truly one of the funniest videos to come out of 2024 for me because like at a certain point, it's so ridiculous that you have to laugh. Like, you have to laugh. This is straight up out of SNL. Am I wrong? In the video, though, she asks for a little person to respond, and I've talked about this on TikTok, but I figured it would be a great topic for the YouTube channel, since on here we talk about dwarfism history, we talk about different things that are going on in the dwarfism community, and I thought this would be a really great topic to discuss, especially as the video keeps going viral. But two things before we begin. One, you should subscribe. But this video is going to be talking about issues that affect the dwarfism community. The purpose is to educate and provide insight into our lives. We are not canceling anybody. So before you guys go, I don't really think we should cancel people for it. Nobody's doing that. And we're going to be talking about this creator who I am not familiar with nothing but kindness and respect. This is purely, she put it out on the internet. She put this out on the internet asking for feedback from the little people community. So hello, a professional little person, been one my whole life, am responding to the situation to hopefully help educate you guys and again, provide insight. It's like a little day in my life video. And another thing before I start is I don't know how the situation played out. One, I'm taking her word for how it all went down. And two, I can't speak on behalf of all little people. I'm not claiming to speak on behalf of all little people. We are not a monolith. And I cannot claim that one thing is offensive that I was not their witness. I'm purely going off of if I were approached and asked a similar question that she asked the little person, and weigh in on my own experience as someone who's been in these situations every time I go to the airport. Oh, I love this video so much. I have the whole thing memorized, actually. I'm not even kidding. And I'll just randomly at points of the day be like, I had a really bad public interaction with the little person, and I had to come on here and tell you guys before they do because I'm not getting canceled for this. Okay, first thing I want to note is I think this is a common thing with disabled people, that people who are non-disabled will look at us and assume that we need help. And I think in this instance, she's assuming that because the little person was walking fast and couldn't walk as fast as average height people, that they needed help and were rushing to their gate. Whereas I think the general consensus that I've found out from talking about this is most people are rushing in the airport, regardless if they're late or not. I know I, for one, am always moving super fast in the airport because I'd rather just get to my gate and sit there than be like lollygagging, you know? So I feel like it's just like, just because I'm walking fast, don't assume. And not you calling out how slow we are, damn. It is true though, in general, people with dwarfism are going to take like 2, if not 3 steps per an average height person's 1. Probably you gotta give us a break. We're going as fast as we can. But I actually know a lot of wheelchair users who say this exact same thing. They say that a lot of people just assume they need help using their wheelchair as if they aren't in it and know how to navigate it. Like, we will ask for help if we need it. So one thing I want to note is that lots of people with dwarfism experience truly the most insane behavior from average height people coming up to us in public. I personally can attest to the fact that I experience every time I go out at least 1 or 2 people following me around, whether it be an airport, a grocery store, the mall, a coffee shop, and filming me or taking pictures with their phone. The worst is when they leave the flash on and then they pretend like they're like, oh, I wasn't there was one instance where I walked into a Circle K and it was packed because it was like a Friday after work, and there's this guy leaving as I'm coming in, and he's like this huge biker guy, right? Super tall, and he's on FaceTime. And he notices me and he gives me this look like, oh Lord, I just saw a dwarf. And I'm like, oh great, this guy. So then I go in and do my shopping, and I come back around the corner and he's waiting there for me to come back around, and he turns his FaceTime and he starts showing the person that, look, I saw a dwarf. And he wasn't using the proper words, he was using the slur. And mind you, the whole store is just like, no one knows how to react. And they're just watching this guy loudly talk about me as if I'm not standing right there, and as if it's not embarrassing to be like talking about a person in such a way. But I also experienced people touching me without consent. I've had people try to pick me up. That happens all the time. And so many little people, when I talk about this, like, what is with people trying to pick up little people? It's so weird. They'll literally just will come up to you and pick you up. And the problem is, not only is that incredibly, I don't even want to explain to you why that's wrong to go up to a random person and pick them up. I don't want to talk to you about like how the power dynamics of the fact that we can't fend for ourselves against an average height person forcefully picking us up, how degrading it is as an adult to have someone like abuse that type of control, and the fact that they can do it and you can't really do anything about it, and how weird it is to pick up a random adult you don't know. But also the fact that so many people assume that little people don't weigh that much because we're shorter, when really we're just compact. So I still weigh like 100+ pounds, and a lot of people with dwarfism have been paralyzed from this happening. That's why it's like not funny actually, because people will pick us up and then realize we're heavy and then fall on top of us and literally get crushed to death. Oh, I'm not supposed to laugh. So not funny, Aubrey. So the picking up thing, and also some people just do it as a prank. They'll be with their friends and they'll want to film it for a Snapchat. I remember when Snapchat came out and like that was a huge thing, like people trying to pick me up when I was younger to film it for Snapchat. And it's always so awkward when that happens because they'll take videos or pictures of them doing it to you and you never know where those are gonna end up. And it can just like really like chip away at your mental health sometimes, knowing that someone randomly has a video of them terrorizing you in public and they're laughing about it and you're just like so confused. Like, it's a lot to deal with. But I think people sometimes underestimate the weird encounters that little people experience 99% of the time we interact with strangers in public. Like, we rarely ever have instances where people just treat us like we're normal people. And I think that's a lot of why I make these types of videos, to educate and provide insight. So especially if you guys see this happening, then you know it is okay to step in and you know it is not something that we find comfortable. I've even had people come up to me in public and start feeling around private parts of my body that was totally unacceptable, and they think they have the right to do it because they can. And especially a lot of people do realize that there is a power imbalance, so there's only so much that we can do to, protect ourselves, so they take advantage of that, which is really upsetting. So all of that's to say that some people with dwarfism might be a little bit guarded when it comes to strangers coming up and asking us questions like, do you want to ride in my suitcase? Because we can't tell if people are being genuine or if they're setting us up to be used as a joke. Sometimes people will put us in these situations pretending to want to help or pretending to be nice, only to set us up. As cruel as that sounds, and I know that's hard for some people to grasp why someone would want to do that, but trust me, people be bored. And also because of how little people have been portrayed in the media so much as being comedy and the butt of a joke, that does rub off. People do sometimes just look at us purely as means for entertainment. And not to get all nerdy on you guys, but historically speaking, people with dwarfism were used for centuries as the means for entertainment. Even dating back to ancient civilizations in Egypt and Rome, people with dwarfism were kept as what they would refer to them as court dwarfs, and they were basically like human pet slaves that they would keep around purely to amuse them. They were oftentimes forcibly taken from wherever they lived, and in some courts for royals, they actually had jobs within the court specifically to scout the globe for little people to bring back forcefully and be kept as these court dwarfs. So this goes back, a lot of the behaviors and mistreatments and misconceptions of the dwarfism community haven't just appeared out of the blue one day. They come from a long, long line of things like this being normalized, which is why, again, I think it's important to highlight these things so that we can, in the future, not repeat the pattern. I don't want to be a court dwarf. If I don't have to pay taxes, though. I do think that she shouldn't have assumed that the little person was in a hurry just because they were walking fast and not as fast as everyone else. And I do think that she should have thought about the practicality of having a grown man sit on the back of her suitcase. I mean, they specifically make suitcases that you can ride on because normal suitcases aren't meant to support a weight of a certain amount. Like, you see little kids doing that, which is why I presume she thought that was probably a possibility. But if that had actually happened, then the little person would have definitely gotten hurt, and I don't even see how she would have the strength to pull. I'm just picturing a little person being pulled on the back of a suitcase. It is sending me. But I think it's totally valid for him to have been upset. And again, we don't actually know what he said in response to her that she claims was him being offended. He might have just said no and given her a look and walked away. And we'll just never know his side of the story and how he reacted to it. But I think that the thing that sparked me as just something that I would advise her in the future to do is just to be more introspective and aware of what you're saying, especially when it comes to strangers who are disabled, who already are experiencing lots of different forms of discrimination and harassment. I think that unless you live under a rock, you're at least aware of some level of mistreatment of little people, right? Like, we've all seen little people either be used as a joke in the media, even if you haven't met a little person yourself. So it's not to say that little people are sensitive in some ways. I just think that there's definitely some things that you should be considerate of. I cannot count the times that I've just been standing and someone's been like, do you need help? What about me standing and existing means I need help? I think an easier alternative to jumping to, do you want to piggyback on the back of my suitcase, would have been something like, hey, is there anything I can do to help you get to your gate? Hey, is there anything I can do to help you? Or even, and I know that there might be some, I don't even know if they're allowed to do this in airports, but you could have even offered to run ahead if you were really worried about them missing their gates and go, hey, which one's your gate? I can run ahead if you're late, and let them know that there's a disabled passenger on their way and they'll be there in a second. I'm pretty sure the gate agents would have waited an extra minute or two, but again, I don't know the technicalities for the laws and stuff about that. But I think there's just some other options for how that situation would have been handled while also still allowing the opportunity to help a person if you really felt they needed assistance. I think my biggest issue with this whole thing is that it doesn't really seem that sincere, and I don't even know if this is a real story. Sometimes it kind of rubs me as something that's fake, because I think that if you really there's no part of this story where she says, I apologize to this little person, or I ask them, talk to them beyond just asking them this question. So it's I don't even know if she genuinely understands or cares that she hurt this person's feeling. I kind of feel, based on this creator's content in the past of doing similar story times, that this was just something that she wanted to turn into a story time, because little person riding on a suitcase is definitely a hook that TikTok is just gonna gobble up. And as you saw by how many views and likes this has, this is definitely something that people just immediately latched onto. And I think the problem with framing it kind of as a joke and, oh, the little person being dramatic and I don't know why he's allergic to fun, is that the comment section is just filled with so many people putting the little person down. We haven't heard their side of the story. We don't know how they even reacted, if they even were overreacting or being dramatic, or if they just said, no thanks. She's opened up so much room in the comment section for literal ableism. People making jokes at the expense of people with dwarfism, people saying that little people are dramatic, people saying that if they were a little person, they would have done it. Just things that aren't necessarily being proactive or helping anybody. And I think all of these comments are not ones trying to see where this little person are coming from. Obviously, you're not going to know all of the experiences that people with dwarfism go through, but I think just being objective about situations like this when you don't know and you're aware that you don't know is going to take you so much farther than just blindly saying that this person was in the wrong for not wanting to write on a stranger's suitcase. And I also honestly feel bad for that little person too, because they inevitably saw this video with how algorithms love to be messy and show people videos that are about them. And I can only imagine if it really was something that upset them, or if this creator actually did come across kind of rude and disrespectful, and then to see like 25,000 plus comments siding with her and making jokes about this little person, I don't love it. And I know there's a lot of people in her comment section saying, I'm a little person and I would have done it. And then I click on their page and they don't have dwarfism, they're just short. And it's like, I think people are missing the point and they're just using this as like a joke. And I find that very fascinating that we're still in that era of the internet when we're talking about issues relating to people with dwarfism and it has to be considered a joke. You know, we can't actually think about this with depth and nuance. We just have to jump to the joke part. I also am a little tired of people going into other people's spaces, like her going up to a little person, asking them a question that she says made them upset, and then just coming to TikTok to process it instead of like actually talking to that little person or actually asking for genuine advice on the situation and kind of turning it into a woe is me, I'm the victim thing. I just like feel like that rubs me the wrong way. And again, no hate to her because I don't know her intentions and I don't want to claim that that's what she was trying to do, but just based on what she said and how she presented the situation, it didn't come across like she genuinely wanted to resolve this situation or learn from it rather than just make pieces of content over it. I think TikTok has definitely normalized that, where it's like people just will put anything online. They will put absolutely anything online. I went up to a disabled person and made them upset. They're no fun. I just can't, the core memory part, like this is inside out. Babe, this is real life. Anyways, as I said, this will always go down as being one of my favorite videos on the internet because it's deeply unserious, but there's also so much to learn from these situations, I feel, and I just love that balance of comedy, something I can laugh at, and also, you know, educate. So, but I'm curious to know what you guys think and how you would have handled this situation any differently. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I had so much fun talking about this with you today, and I hope it was insightful and taught you a few things about what it's like to have dwarfism. I think that's really all I have. My name's Aubrey Smalls. I love ya. Keep going. I had a really bad public interaction with a little person today, and I had to get on here and tell you.